People ask me all the time, how do you strengthen your fourth finger? Well, I have a one-word answer for that. Schradieck. Yep, Schradieck. The first exercise in book 1. The first line of that really just uses each finger and establishes a frame in my hand. I make a little variation in that. Instead of playing what's written, I make the fourth finger do a lot of extra work. So something like this. That's with 4 in a bow. Then I move up to 8 notes in a bow. Like that. And I do that for a while. Now what's important here is that you know how to move the fourth finger vertically. So in order to do that, I take a Kleenex and roll it into a ball and then grab it with my fourth finger, like this. Then I do this exercise where I just pick up the finger like this, keeping it in the same position. It gets tired really, really, really quickly. But you can do that for a minute or so, and you can really feel that. And what it does is it trains your finger to move without changing the shape of the finger. In other words, you don't want your fourth finger to lift like this. You want it to lift like this. So it keeps the same position whether it's down or up. So down, up, down, up, down, up. In other words, we're working from the bass joints over here. Another great exercise just to kind of feel how you want to put your fingers down is to put 1, 2, 3. So that's the first notes in line 1 of Schradieck. And then I tap my fourth finger on the A. Now it's interesting because when I do that and I'm doing the Schradieck, I generally try to put my fourth finger on the outside of the pad of the finger. In other words, if my hand is like this, I have an inside which is towards the fingers and an outside which is on the outside of the hand over here. And I try to touch the string on the pad right next to the fingernail on the outside. What that does is it keeps my fourth finger extremely rounded on the string. Therefore, I can get more strength on it. I tap on the D string for a while. Then I tap on the G string. Then the C string. You can see that when I go to the C string, I have to stretch my finger there. It's very tiring. Then I go back to the G string, the D string. When I get to the A string, it's much more rounded. And it flattens out as I go down the strings. It's very tiring to do this. After I'm all warmed up, I go to line 6 and start working on my fourth finger. Lines 6, 7, and 8 use big repetitions of fourth finger. Notice how I keep it on the pad on the outside of the pinky. So I start with 4 notes in a bow. One word about the thumb. I always try to keep my thumb really loose when I do this. You'll notice that when I do these exercises, instead of having a thumb that's way back there, I try to keep it pretty much across from my first finger, even sometimes a little bit higher, so that my thumb stays extremely loose on the fingerboard. I'm very aware of this. After I do 4 notes in a bow, I'll do 8 notes in a bow. After 8, we can go straight to 16. Then I'll take a look at line 7. Line 7 uses a lot of repetition between the 3rd and the 4th finger, therefore putting a lot of pressure on my 4th finger. And then I go to line 8, which uses the open string and the 1st finger. If you turn to the next page, then line 13 is awesome because it makes you switch fingers. I'll do that slowly. So if you just look for the Schradieck exercises in the first 2 pages that use a lot of 4th fingers, that to me is really the best way to build that 4th fingers. So let's just recap. First of all, we can work on the motion of picking the 4th finger up by putting a Kleenex in between the finger and practice lifting. Then we can transfer that motion to our viola by putting 3 fingers down and then tapping next to the fingernail on the pad on the outside of the finger and changing strings. Notice I don't change my arm at all when I change the strings for this particular exercise, so that my 4th finger gets into a bunch of different shapes. After that, I just go to Schradieck, maybe the first line to warm up. And then with the repeated 4th fingers. Then I go to line 6. Line 7, line 8, line 13, line 14, etc. I hope this helps you to strengthen your 4th finger. If you do it every day, I know it will.